Enthusiastic Woman, the podcast. Season 2 broadcasting normally from the Enthusiastic Woman Worldwide headquarters, where every day we birth success. I am Miss Shannan. I'm happy to welcome my friends Judy Carter and Samantha Stokes, two women prepared to birth success to the podcast. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi. We are also continuing our remote broadcast outside of the Enthusiastic Woman Worldwide headquarters, courtesy of what is going on with the COVID-19 virus. We are, of course, trying to do our part and participating in social distancing. Even at a distance, we are friends and Gen X women, and we analyze, discuss, and parody trending topics, pop culture, and insane products. That has not changed. That has not changed at all. And we are going to do some interesting things today. But ladies, before we move on to today's show, I just wanted to share with you last episode, which was our first episode where we were doing the social distancing. And I wanted to get your take on a couple of things. It was a little bit awkward, don't you guys think?
A little bit.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll get used to it. There are some good things about being able to do this remotely, but there were some things that clearly we had gotten accustomed to about all being in the same room. So that'll take us a little while, just like a lot of people out there, to figure out how things work in this whole new world that we're living in. The other thing that I did want to let you know is that we did talk last week about a number of songs that were vying to be the coronavirus anthems. And so we went through a few of them, and we had one that I think the consensus was our favorite. And Cardi B. Now, I do want to give you a little update on this particular Cardi B song. This one. This song by I Marquise is actually charting on the Hot 100. And so it's one of the, it has gotten a significant number of downloads. And what the producer and Cardi B have decided to do, because they are both on board with it, is that they have decided that any proceeds from this particular song are going to be donated to a variety of different charities and a variety of different programs that are going to help people who might have been displaced from their jobs or other things because of the coronavirus. So I just wanted to give you an update on that song in case it was still stuck in your head. If it wasn't stuck in your head, anybody out there, I apologize. It's probably stuck back in there now, because that song is very, 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 it's earworm worthy. It's very contagious.
Yes.
It's contagious.
I find myself just yelling, coronavirus.
It's getting real. It is getting real. There are a number of things that have continued to get real over the week, and we are going to do our best to cover things kind of through the filter that we normally use here at Enthusiastic Women. We're going to have our primary segments of product displacement. That's a segment where we talk about a particular product or brand and whether their efforts are a hit or a miss. And this one, we are going to talk about the fact that now masks are making a fashionable play. And we are also very interested in dystopian fashion and how that seems to be coming to the forefront already, even though we've probably only been quarantined for a couple of weeks. Then we're going to move into our next segment. Did you see this? A lot of you may have seen this, but we want to talk about it anyway. Tiger King is blowing up all over the place. A lot of us have watched it on Netflix, so we want to go ahead and talk about that. And then in this episode, we're going to continue on into Does This Make Me Old? Does This Make Me Old? And we're going to have a story about the impact of COVID-19 on salons. Does that sound good to you, ladies?
Perfect.
It sure does.
All right. Well, we're going to move into these topics now, so everybody go ahead and stay with us. We appreciate it.
It's about to go down. Are you ready?
We'll start with product displacement. Product displacement brought to you by Enthusiastic Woman Online and our Enthusiastic Self-Actualization line. We start with a story about dystopian fashion and masks out there. I think you have that one for us, Samantha.
Sure do. So strange how things come back around again. A year ago, literally 1 year ago this month, we recorded episode 9 of this podcast and included a segment on a new fashion trend at that time, boiler suits.
Ah, yes.
My favorite. Which, just to revisit that a little bit, of course, that's the one-piece jumpsuit that has been worn throughout history by people like mechanics and always seems to kind of make a comeback during times of social unrest. Particularly, as our friend Judy Carter pointed out to us at the time, Winston Churchill,
yes,
in World War II, was a big aficionado of the the boiler suit. Until last spring, then boiler suits made their way onto the catwalk of high fashion, and that led us to talking about how dystopian fashion always seems to emerge during challenging times like World War II.
Right.
So jump ahead 1 year, and guess what? We're in a challenging time right now, and on par, some would say, in its magnitude with World War II.
Right.
And guess what? Dystopian fashion is emerging once again. This time in the form, as you said, Shannon, of face masks.
Right.
And I'm not even talking about the medical, the medicinally used face masks. There's starting to be, and this has actually been going on for a number of months, face masks used in a number of different contexts, including fashion. And fashion seems to be really starting to there seems to be a big uptick in terms of face masks on the fashion scene. Just to give you a couple examples, amongst the celebrities, Ariana Grande's 2009 Sweetener tour merchandise included a pink and black face mask with the words "Thank You Next" on it, which is a title of her hit song. Billie Eilish has worn a face mask with Gucci, other Gucci accoutrement. And then some guests at this month's Paris Fashion Week were apparently wearing Chanel branded face coverings. So
Ooh.
it's out there amongst the fashionistas.
So I did a little, masks, but make it fashion history or kind of like trend path look at, of the recent years. So China, a fashion designer, first put a mask on the runway back in 2014. Then there was a Chinese designer who had someone who did it in Paris Fashion Week 2015. Then here in the United States, the hip hop community was actually the first to embrace masks but make it fashion. And Future was seen wearing one in 2017. Then we saw big fashion brands in the past 3 years, really start to, since 2017, get on this like mask but make it fashion, which is what I'm calling it. We've seen Fendi, we've seen Gucci, as you said, for Billie Eilish. They did that whole branded Gucci head to toe look for her that included a mask. And now that we're in the coronavirus world, celebrities are posting them all over social media. Bella Hadid, of course, our favorite Gwyneth Paltrow has to be seen. But they were, prior to like everything being shut down, they were being handed out at fashion shows. And now the big thing you're being seen is makers are making them and selling them on Etsy. So this is probably something we're going to see keep growing and going.
Well, our local fashion designer friend, Christopher Straub, made a number of them that are very fashionable, but he also used them and donated them to health workers. So I think that, and for him, I really loved his post because he talked about the fabric that he used and how come he still had it and what he had created with it before. So I think that it's cool from a designer point that they're going, here's something that we can get involved with. And I also think it's interesting because so much of it before we were going, does this have anything to do with health or not? Before we got on that point and we were just looking at it from a fashion standpoint, a lot of it was more of an identity thing. And I think it was also a matter of, well, I'm not doing it to protect myself, but I'm doing it to protect part of me, as in their identity more than they were going, is it going to do anything about keeping, particulates out of my system? Not necessarily. It was more of, especially when you were looking at it from a Billie Eilish perspective and the way that she was using her fashion at the time as a statement of, it's not always about a particular physical feature. It's more about what I do. I think that masks made sense for a significant period of time. And now it's just into it because everybody kind of would feel a little bit better if they had one on, I think.
Right.
So it makes sense.
Comment on your point that there's different uses for them, and especially around identity. Because I read a couple of articles that talked about how in recent years they've become very popular for activists who are maybe in a protest and wanting to protect their identity.
Right.
So that's another non-health context.
For a number of reasons, and I know that I had read some similar articles, Samantha, about why they were doing it to try and throw off facial recognition software and those kind of things. So there are a lot of other subversive reasons why people were wearing masks. It's more of a people were trying to figure out other ways to reuse them before. The thing that I am kind of concerned with is that it has given the ability, a lot of the reasons why people didn't want us to wear fashionable masks before weren't only about healthcare concerns and whether it helped you or whether it hurt you. All of those things weren't really what they were doing. They were trying to say, from a safety standpoint, having people be able to hide their identity wasn't necessarily safe in general in society. So I do think that it's interesting now that we have flash forwarded to, well, everybody wants one. And so we had to kind of go, well, are we willing to let that little piece go about people being able to mask their identity by wearing this mask?
Yeah.
There's a really interesting article about this fashion and masks in the age of Corona. It's in the New York Times. And it is a statement that you make. I mean, before now and during this time where it's not really like you're making a political statement or anything when you wear a mask or you're saying anything about your identity when you're wearing a mask. But prior to right now, or whatever it means after right now when you're wearing a mask, we attribute so much about our face and the expressions we make and what the eyes say about yourself, but it creates a barrier between yourself and the world.
Right.
And if you're wearing one, it's like you're sort of being, it's just, and that's why a lot of the fashion designers who show them, it's just sort of it can be seen as a statement when you're wearing it purely for fashion reasons. And I just think that it's just an interesting conversation to have about what that means and what it means something totally different right now. And I don't know what it will mean after this time.
I think that's what you're saying is very interesting, Judy. And also a couple minutes ago, what you said about Billie Eilish and how she had worn one as a fashion statement. And that totally makes sense to me in the context of Billie Eilish, who has made kind of a literal career out of hiding literally hiding the contours of her body, right? She didn't want people to cast aspersions on her or judge her on her looks or be evaluative anyway about her looks. And so she wore big, baggy clothes. So it makes sense to me she would extend that into a face covering piece of clothing. And I think it's interesting that maybe that trend is that desire to hide one's face is kind of progressing beyond her.
Well, and I agree with both of you. We will see how quickly this trend, because like so many fashion trends, things have a tendency to pop up, blaze, and then fizzle out. So we will see how this goes and whether it stays around and whether it stands the test of times, like our favorite things, the boiler suits, right? So we'll see if they come back. That is Product Displacement today, brought to you by Enthusiastic Woman online and our Enthusiastic Woman Wellness line. Now a word from Enthusiastic Woman Certified Wellness Coach, Mary McMillan Masters. Hello, I am Mary McMillan Masters. You probably know me from my book, Baking the Best You, my radio and television appearances, my product endorsements, my line of motivational coffee mugs, and my popular combination body wash and disinfectant. Cleanse yourself now. And I know you are tired of running from success, aren't you? You should be, but do not worry, I can help. Register right away for my new Absolute Influence Seminar, an afternoon of self-assessment exercises led by me to help you become the master of you and others. And now you may zoom your way to a clarity of purpose, courtesy of my Mary McMillan Masters Live Stream Academy. Become a better you from the serenity of your own home. Hurry and sign up today. Absolute Influence. Suddenly, you have the time on your hands. And for a limited time, so do I. Brought to you by Enthusiastic Woman Online, we birth success. It's always lovely when Mary comes in. I know she pivoted quickly. She is a master, as she is named.
such an inspiration.
Definitely. Moving on now to Did You See This? Did you see this? Judy has been raring and roaring to go because we've been talking for the last week about how we needed to go ahead and cover Tiger King. Joe Exotic is all over Netflix. Judy, what do you have for us?
Well, this show has been number one on Netflix for a little bit here, and I think it's going to stay number one for a minute because I'm telling you guys, Tiger King has everything. Polygamy, meth, tigers, murder, Shaquille O'Neal, a sex cult, amputations, magic, elephant riding, country music, Scarface, presidential candidates, a hitman, John Oliver, explosions, a fat guy with a bowl cut riding a jet ski, and a septic tank. And really, you know what? That's not even the half of it.
Right. Why don't we go ahead and play the Tiger King trailer for everybody?
It's not every day that a zookeeper went to prison for murder for hire.
There are more captive tigers in the U.S. than there are in the wild throughout the world.
Animal people are nuts, man. They're all crazy. I'm sure y'all got a story to tell.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Joe Exotic, and this is Sarge.
He was like a mythical character living out in the middle of bumfuck Oklahoma who owned 1,200 tigers and lions and bears and shit.
Come here, love me. Matt spoken, good looking, love to party and have fun. I don't think we're done blowing shit up today.
I don't figure you are.
They have a heart and a soul and a mind. I've learned from them. But Carol Baskin keeps saying, I can't have these tigers.
If he ever had an enemy...
Judy, I'll give it back to you because you're right. It does have a little bit of everything.
It's got so much chaotic Florida energy. It's like this guy, Joe Exotic, he's part of a gay throuple, but he's this redneck with a blonde mullet, exotic, tiger owning, puts a hit out on this animal activist from Florida who she might have killed her millionaire husband and fed him to her tigers. And that's just the most sane character in this is the real life guy who Scarface is based on. He might be the most normal, if that just gives you a hint.
And we are going to go through
so
a few.
Weird.
We are going to go through a few spoilers as we have our discussion about Joe Exotic, because I do want to be able to cover, because it was one of those things that even before Judy brought it up to Samantha and I had a number of other friends who we don't normally have a commonality about what we watch, but I had a variety of friends in my friend group who normally don't like the same thing, all converging on Tiger King. So it was
you can't even have spoilers though. Like, I'm not even done with it. I think my daughter and I are on episode 4, and it's all like every episode we're like, what? Like, that turned a corner I wasn't expecting. Like, I have no idea what is even going to happen. I read a tweet from somebody who's like, I just finished Tiger King on Netflix. Or did it finish me? And I totally feel like at the end of it, that's how I'm going to feel. Like, everything I've said about it, like, I'm not even done with it yet. You know what I mean?
Samantha, have you had a chance to peruse Mr. Joe Exotic's wares yet?
You know, Vic and I started to watch it,
Yeah.
and both of us are really uncomfortable with like animals in cages.
Yes.
And so we immediately got kind of upset by that and stopped watching it. But I did read a whole bunch of articles about it, and my mind is just blown just from what was in news coverage of this show. And then beyond that, just reading about this trend among rich people to own exotic animals, and how that's been going on years and years, and just the kind of the complex psychology about what drives something like that. And of course it comes down to, I guess, kind of the desire for power and the drive to take over your environment. But all that to say, I didn't have to watch this show to be completely overwhelmed and astounded by everything that it contains.
Samantha, I agree with you. It will not get any more comfortable for you and Vic. So do not go back, because I think I'm up to episode 5. Maybe 6. Because they're only like 45 minutes.
You're further in it than me. It's crazy, right?
I might be farther along. I'm going to look real quick just to see, because I was watching it yesterday and I had it on in the background. And it's the thing that I think is also interesting about this show is that he is the most bizarre character in it, but there's so many people that are odd that you're like, wait, you have a friend that does what? And who is she? And then look, I'm up to episode 6. I had to go pull up my Netflix real quick. I watched all those true crime shows anyway, so I'm not that baffled by the fact that there's a guy out there that did this and then there's a murder for hire plot. As Judy said, they're like, oh, it's totally okay that he's in this polyamorous relationship. Then this other guy, it literally is a cult. And he's like, but they like it here.
He's got a cult.
He honestly has a cult. And you're like,
with the tigers.
And you're like, that's not okay. But it is. The show, because it's named about the Tiger King, you kind of get the impression it's all going to be about one person that's out there bananas. It's not. There are multitudes of bananas people in this show, and that's why it's even so fascinating. And just to kind of go back before we go and play some more clips from the show and some of his songs, because he has a whole album. He has like 3 albums out. The other thing that I saw that I thought was fascinating about this show, and I'm sure you read this when you were just catching up, Samantha, is the thing about this show is it's a show within a show within a show, because it's another one of those things where why were there cameras around? Oh, because somebody was creating a reality show. And not and when you are somebody that is this bananas character, I'm always fascinated that they were the ones that invited this camera crew in. So we have them spiraling out of control because they volunteered for it. And just the last one that I remember is, did either of you watch The Staircase?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so The Staircase, you won't like it either, Samantha. You were shaking your head. You will not like it either. Staircase was interesting because that was another Netflix series where you were just fascinated by it, because it was about a gentleman who was an author, and he was going through trials and he was put in jail for allegedly murdering his wife. And then making it look like she fell down the stairs. And I remember that before The Staircase had come out, I had seen this as an episode of Forensic Files because he was found guilty, and so Forensic Files talked about him. Then Staircase backs it up.
2020, it was on.
It was everywhere.
So weird.
And so
weird.
The Staircase comes out, and he had a film crew that was following him around talking about some other-ish type stuff, and then it turns into this murder trial. And so he's like, still a film crew, and you're just amazed that there's that they have given this crew so much access to their lives. And that's what happens in Tiger King as well, is that there's crews that are following them from the moment they wake up to the moment that they go to bed, and sometimes after, just hanging out with cameras. So there's footage after footage of things going that you would normally go, why would you want somebody to film that and see you doing that? But they volunteered for it, and they were like, we're going to be, that's the most interesting thing about this particular show to me, is how that just hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of footage of this guy continuing to just, like, when there's never a point where you go, shouldn't you stop talking and tell them to turn the camera off? That never happens. It doesn't happen. Ever. The other thing that you probably came across, Samantha, as you were reading, and Judy and I got to witness real time as we were watching the episodes, is that Joe Exotic has 3, maybe more, actual albums out. So he is a singer-songwriter. One of the ones. What did you call him?
A troubadour.
A troubadour. Judy, I think you said
Renaissance man.
A true Renaissance man.
President. He's run for governor. He's a country music person. Okay, let's listen.
Okay, so I'm going to play your favorite one first, Judy. So this is Joe Exotic's I Saw a Tiger.
Tell all the hunters lay down their guns. Tell them that the tiger needs a little bit of love. Let them run the jungle, let them roam their land, then stand back and marvel, what a beautiful cat. 'Cause I saw a tiger, now I understand. Well, I saw a tiger, tiger saw a man. I can give him a home.
Okay, I have to stop. And I think, okay, and if you read it, because he has Joe Exotic TV, everybody can still go out there and watch the music videos. Those have not been taken down, even though the series is out there. And so that's one that it says that was his first music video. It was produced to help protect and save tigers from China poaching and tiger farms, is what he said that one was was designed to do. I do think he has a relatively nice voice for a bananas pants person.
Not him.
Who is it?
Shannan.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so
Yes.
No, this has been all over Twitter. He hired a country music band, and then he sings softly on top of the singer.
But
himself.
Okay, spoiler-ish though.
That's what it is.
Okay.
You know that's not his voice.
But it's okay. It's close enough because there is an episode a little bit farther in where he's singing in front of people. So they would have had
funeral.
At the funeral. He's singing at the funeral, isn't he?
Playing the music because there's not a band there. They're playing the tape and he's just singing softly on top of it again.
So he's Britney Spearsing it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so he has a
voice. There's a time when he sings in the car with nobody else, it's a cappella. He doesn't sound anything like that. He's all nasally.
So basically he's just got it's his version of auto-tune. Fair enough. Well, I'm not surprised so much of
but
it.
his version of auto-tune is like whisper singing on top of some other guy's voice.
I love it.
I
But
don't even think he writes it. That other band, he just tells people like, I need a song that's all about Carol Baskin killing her husband and feeding it to the tigers. I need a song that's about a tiger seeing a man and a man seeing a tiger, and then like they do it for him.
I have the one about Carol Baskin. And so just to bring you up to speed.
Oh, yeah, let's listen to that.
So Samantha, did you get to, in your perusing the blogs and such and articles, did you hear about his giant rivalry with Carol Baskin and why she is important?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So that brings up the primary rivalry, and what continues to make him most spiral out of control is his rivalry with Carol Baskin, and he actually wrote a song about her, and that is called "Here Kitty Kitty."
She was a rich woman, she had rich taste, she felt the blood running through her veins. She liked the life she had, she loved her big cats and the beauty of being untamed.
So far you can't tell he hates her.
Well, everything was fine, just as sweet as wine, but her husband went and disappeared. But then it got a little crazy, it got a little hazy, and the cops said there's something wrong here. Oh, here, kitty, kitty, Mama's got some treats for you. Oh, here, kitty, kitty, you can't find this taste in the zoo. Oh, here, kitty, kitty, oh, Mama Carol, she sure loves you. Oh, here, kitty, kitty, oh, Mama made this for you.
Wow. That's
what
like
I most appreciate about that song is it contains a lot of facts.
Quite so.
You know what? The songs are like legit bops, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're jam. No?
I think the other thing I like about the songs is they are well constructed country music songs. The lyrics are a bit basic, but I do appreciate the fact. I mean, if you go, okay, I dislike somebody, I'm going to write a song about him. Joe Exotic is on some Taylor Swift level jams right now. I mean, nobody else manages to lay down a track as precise.
It was precise.
Yes, it is.
The shade was very precise.
Right. I'm like, well done, Joe. Good for you.
And then he got a woman that looks like her. I mean, the spite is real though, because it's like she looks like her, but instead of getting someone that looked as good as her or maybe better looking than her, he got like kind of a worse looking Carol Baskin lookalike and then like featured her in the video. But it was accurate though. It was like an accurate, worse looking Carol Baskin in the video. It's like, it's on point.
Right.
You know?
When we talk about that before and after, like before you put on your makeup as an influencer and after, that's kind of what it looks like. It looks like it could be Carol Baskin, but she just woke up.
Right. It's weird. Like it's like so on point how he found her. It's so petty.
Very petty. And it's just fascinating. And Samantha, maybe you got to this. I was fascinated too. The fact that not only is there this maybe she killed her husband, the fact that he was so rich, like he was insanely rich that you're like, wait, real people that maybe just hang out in Florida have that amount of money rich? And there's a camera.
How rich he was. This is how rich he was. Nobody knew how much money he had. And the people who were guessing how much money he had ranged from, it could be 5 million, it could be 7 million, it could be 10 million, it could be 20 million. Like it was like a range from like 5 million to $25 million that he could have had.
Which is the most interesting. We normally, when you're watching all these murder shows, and like when I'm watching like all the CSIs, it's something really trivial. Like you murdered somebody for $150,000 life insurance policy, and you're like, oh, you're the worst. Like you're the absolute worst. You don't really see people that maybe murdered somebody for multi-millions of dollars.
Or $20 million.
And I'm like, wait, you really exist? Oh my gosh. It is bananas. Not crazy enough that it's worth you. Like I said, Sam, it's not so fascinating that I'm like, Sam, just power through it. It'll be worth it. It's really just popcorn that I'm like, if you kind of like these shows already, this doubles down on everything you like about those shows. So if you like,
it's so weird.
If you like weird reality shows, if you like weird true crime shows, if you like any of that genre, this show is all of those things. Somehow you're like, wait, how? Wait, like even the other person, anytime you think somebody's normal, they're uber not. Like the guy who was producing the reality show for him, super not normal. The guy who ends up being the Scarface guy, he seems like, okay, he's just going to be another, exotic animal dude
guy.
And they're all crazy and that's fine. No, and then you're like, wait, you're Scarface.
He is the most normal though. I will go on record. And like Scarface was like, I guess he's the best foot.
And then the other thing I think is interesting about it as well is everybody, like there's a bunch of people that are like on meth and they're just meth stereotypes. There's like it's everything that you're like, if we had a reality show about people on meth, what would they be like? Oh, look, here's a contingent of them. Okay. All right. Well, we would like to have a show about people who are in cults. There's the cohort for the cults right there. How did they get all of these people all spoked together?
If there's a Venn diagram, it's like meth, coke, cult, tigers are in the center.
Right. Who would have thought that tigers would be the unifying factor for all of those things?
In the middle of all these different things.
And it's the kind of thing, Judy, I do think this about the show as well. It's definitely one of those shows that after we finish binging it and I get through the rest of it, I'll probably put it on again. Because there's enough moments in it where I'm like, wait, what? That I'm it could run again in the background and I could watch it passively and totally be okay with that.
It is. It's like, I don't know what it's unbelievable. Every episode is a shocker.
So if anybody else out there is a big fan of the Tiger King, we encourage you to go to all of our social media pages. Let us know what you think about it. We would love to get your enthusiastic feedback about it. Maybe we'll do some viewing. We'll do a Netflix party of it with some of our enthusiastic friends if they would like us to do that. That would be fine. All right. Time for our final segment today. Does this make me old? Does this make me old here on the Enthusiastic Woman podcast? I'll start with this one. You know, I think especially Judy and I, Samantha, I know that you only dabbled in this type of thing. We were both big fans of going to get our nails done at a salon. You know, we were both the kind of people that were going out on regular basis and getting our hairs done at places. And as so many things in our economy, that is another place where people have been hit hard with everything grinding to a halt. And so this was an interesting story, I thought, because it did talk about the impact of COVID-19 on salons, and that maybe we would have thought about, okay, now they're all closed down like a lot of other places would close down. But I really thought was interesting about this was the trickle effect that they had, because as people were getting less money, they were going out to get these luxury things less. They were less likely, you know, they were changing their services into taking products out because they knew that maybe they weren't going to be able to come in as often. And even from the perspective of some of the people that worked in these salons, they were talking about the fact that the products were becoming difficult to find. A lot of these things were getting, their supplies were shipped in from China. And so the supply lines were slowly dwindling. So it was an industry that had difficulty even before some of the other industries in town. And I think it really affects a lot of our target audience, not only because we were people who went to these type of salons, but also because so many people that were employed at these salons were working moms and single mothers and women that were there. It was one of the, does happen to be one of the few industries that is female dominated. That, really impacted a lot of, and I know that we have talked about how we are out of safety, pivoting into all of these home practices and how we would do it. But I do want to, as somebody who wants the economy to thrive, it did really make me think about, is it going to be one of those things that I'm cutting corners? Is this one of the things that I'm going to add back in? Because it's something that I can actually do for the economy, because it seems so... it's such a, all of those things, it's very easy for people to look at me and go, well, that's just your vanity. It's like, well, yes, but it also creates a job for somebody else. But it also it does make my life easier to have somebody else do it and me not to have to do it every day. So I'm torn.
Totally. And I'm not one for the nail salons, but I have been getting my hair colored regularly for a long time and professionally, and I love it. And I've become over the years very good friends with the stylist who does my hair. I love him dearly, and I have been, especially since there's been the gubernatorial order to close salons in Minnesota. I've been and I understand why, certainly, but I have been just fretting and very sad over the impact that this must have had on his my friend, my stylist's life. It's just a full stop. And I can learn to do it at home, but I will be, for exactly what the reasons you're saying, Shannon, when they come back online, I will be first in line to get in to him to have my hair done versus doing it at home, just because because he's great, but also because I know the impact. And I'm horrified to think of the impact.
I made a choice like 9 years ago, when I became a single mom, to start coloring my own hair so I could keep going to the nail salon, because I had to choose one.
Sure.
So I've been coloring my own hair for years, because that's just something that if I buy my own, and my hair is actually pretty easy to color. I mean, I did color it pink, rose gold myself last night, which is kind of drastic, but because I've been coloring my hair so long on my own, I'm better at it. But normally, if I just do my regular blonde color, it's literally like $8. I can save a ton of money. and then I get my acrylics done. So my nail salon, I go to the woman who owns it. She's Vietnamese. She works every single day of the week, you guys.
Right.
She does not take a day off. She works so hard. And she has 2 kids. They're older now, but I mean, it's bananas how hard she works. And I just love going. It's like my favorite thing to do. And that's why I made the choice, because it's not just that my nails look good, but I just realized that it was like one of my favorite places to go. It super relaxes me. It's like a treat for me. It's my time. There's not many things that I do as a single mom that is just like, I can go by myself and I just really feel great about myself, but I always feel nice. I have to take my nails off because they grew out, but I am buying, there's ones like press-on nails that are really good that you can get online. So my daughter and I have bought those, and we're just going to do them just so I can like have something on my nails and like look normal. But I'll definitely go back when it comes back on, and I'll keep coloring my own hair. But like I said, that was a choice I made 9 years ago for lifestyle. This isn't something that I'm like taking away. And I have a really great stylist at a salon that's close by, and she does my daughter's hair and my son's hair, and she cuts my hair, and we'll take care of her and keep going. And I did go on to that local store, which is like close by where I live in the city of Minneapolis. And my hairstylist had showed me some red conditioner, and I buy products from them. And I went on last night and I bought products from that salon.
And I'm actually the opposite. I didn't for years get my nails done, but I've had the same, similar to what you said, Samantha, I've had the same stylist for almost 20 years. And so she is definitely a friend, and I've been texting her to make sure that she and her son are okay. And you talk about another hardworking woman. She has a day job. You know, she had a day job, and then she is one of those people that had started into basically a salon. We'll call them a salon co-working space. Have you guys seen those where they would have like a small studio that's just them? And so that's what she had moved into a little over a year ago. And I was actually very proud of her because she had been at a different location, and I love those people as well. But it was just time for her to be able to kind of step out on her own. And it was a big deal for her to be able to have her own quote unquote shop. And again, she'll go to work at 7:00, in the morning, work her day job until 3, and then be at the salon by 4:15, and then work until 9, and then worked every day except for Sunday. And, and had a son, has a son who's a little bit older than my son. And so, I knew everything about her. And I think that it's, people also forget that a lot of times our hairdressers and our hairstylists are safe havens, and they are most likely to know things about, us and really get to know you over time if you have that kind of relationship. And so that's why I've been concerned about, are you okay? How are you guys holding up? And I told her, I'm like, because again, how do you do that safely for both parties with our social distancing concerns? Like, how soon are we going to get back to it's okay for you to be that close to me, even if you're wearing gloves? I don't know. And so I'm very concerned, not only from a, hey, I like the way my hair looks when she does it perspective, but what does that look like in the economy? Because that was a big machine, for a lot of people, and they didn't have another job, and they were supporting whole families and personal ecosystems on that. So what are they going to do, and what does their skill set transfer into? And it was hard. It's not like they just showed up. There was a lot of getting those licenses and being, diligent at it. And my hair personally is complex. Like, I've worked with her to like grow my hair out for a long time, and she was the one that, my hairdresser was the one I went through a stressful period in my life. And I go in and she's like, I think you have alopecia. You should go to your doctor. And so for her to notice from just a couple of changes in the texture of my hair before I would have even thought about it, for me to go in and get treatment, it's because of that relationship that we had. So, I do appreciate the fact that we are doing what we need to do now, but I don't want to I want to encourage people to be able to do what's safe for them. I want them to encourage them to do what makes sense for them economically. So if you are not in a position to do that, I am not saying that you should mortgage your home and get out, refinance things so you can go and get these beauty products taken care of. But I also can understand why it's not a bad thing if you're going, okay, we can now move back into some of these out of the home self-care routines, why it would be of value to everybody. Yeah, if I do it myself, it costs a lot less, but I'm okay having my hairstylist do it as soon as I can as well.
One thing I read was that Madison Reed,
yes,
the home their sales went up 750% in the days after the salons had to shut down.
I'm sure. I'm quite sure. You know what I decided to do? Because I can do my hair myself, but there's lots of days where I'm not going to. And so what I did is I ordered a wig. Like, I don't own any wigs other than novelty wigs. So I ordered like, hey, if Shannan wants to show up someplace and look like Storm, I had that wig. I had like fun wigs around, but I didn't have an actual wig. So I ordered a wig that pretty much just already looks like my hair. Just
cool.
right.
Cool.
And so I'm like, nobody really gets how my hair works anyway. It always causes a lot of questions and commotions. So I might as well just get a wig for a while, because I've had friends, and I think that there are, we've all watched the Real Housewife franchise, and they have there's more people that are wearing wigs than you know. So that was the choice I decided to do. And then I'm probably going to go, like, as soon as I can and we can figure out how it works, I would go back to my hairdresser. But I'm glad that we brought up the story, because it is just another pocket of workers in our global economy that are being affected, and we wouldn't necessarily go, how does this look for them? And what is the face of this person? And what are their struggles? I mean, if you look at the demographics of the people who did those kind of services, they really needed the money, in comparison to a lot of other things, or, and similar to a lot of the other gig workers that were out there. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
That's so true.
Yeah. Lots of changes have happened, and we will continue to have lots of changes that happen. And we are glad that we get to share with you. We know that we sound a little bit different, but we're getting used to the new normal, just like everybody else is out there. So, ladies, any big plans for your quarantine? We're not in quarantine. We're in stay at home is what our governor has decided to call our particular shelter in place action. So any big plans for your stay at home activities for this week until we come back and enthusiastically talk to our listeners?
I'm just glad that the weather is warming up a little bit. It's been really nice last few days to take some long walks. So I'm just going to try to get outside every day, I think.
I like that idea. Ms. Kata, what about you?
My daughter and I ordered yoga mats on Amazon, and then we're going to try to do like yoga on YouTube at home. So stay tuned for that. If we get it all worked out and find our space and our zen, maybe I'll take some pictures or some video of us being like, we've never done it.
Right.
I mean, so it'll be all new, but that's what we're going to do, is like at home yoga activities.
And over here in the Miss Shannan compound, what we did is I ordered some new outdoor swings and such for my son. So I'm trying to get him out, because I have a moody 12-year-old on the autism spectrum. He's very much, I would look at my phone all day, but I have to find other things for him to do. So we'll check in with you. We'll check in with everybody by that as well. And we've also considered if there's anybody out there who would be interested in us doing any particular enthusiastic viewing parties, we are open to that. And we want to make sure that we continue to build our Enthusiastic Woman Network, and we want to be there for all of our community. Right now, one of my favorite things is I had one of the doctors that I was listening to was talking about how they wish that they had not called this social distancing. They had called it physical distancing, because that's really what we want. And that we want people to find new ways to create social networks and to find commonalities and find ways to find support. And we are happy to be part of that network for you. We get the luxury of talking to each other every week. And if you want to be part of that, we encourage you to do that and reach out to us. It's very easy to be part of our Enthusiastic Woman community. You can go to enthusiasticwoman.com. You can look for Enthusiastic Woman on our Facebook page. Also find us on Twitter and Instagram as I Birth Success. You can email the show. It's ibirthsuccess@gmail.com. You can also find our channel on YouTube, brand new, hot and fresh for all of you. And we encourage you also to leave a voicemail on our Enthusiastic Woman hotline at 612-276-2774. That's 612-276-2774. Wherever you listen to your podcast, please make sure that you like and subscribe to Enthusiastic Woman, and feel free to leave us a little review and let us know what you think. We appreciate you. So are you guys doing well, ladies? We'll check in with you again next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for being part of the show. We will see you next time. And if you're feeling less than enthusiastic, remind yourself, I birth success.